You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Good morning, it's September the 29th, and welcome to Psychedelics and Cannabis Educational News. Good day, Rev Cindy. How's today going?
Good morning, Al. Well, you know, today's not too bad. I've had a nice, gentle morning so far. This afternoon, I have to get into cleaning up, but I had a nice, gentle morning so far. How about yourself?
I had a good morning as well. I went out and worked on my medicine out in the garden this morning with nice warm sun beating down. You can see all the moisture all over the ground because of the getting ready for that time of year where frost, but it's not that cold. It's just a lot of moisture. That's all. So
yeah.
And how was your weekend?
My weekend was pretty amazing, actually. I just got back from BC a week ago today, actually. Spent my birthday out there. So I wasn't able to celebrate with my Nova Scotia friends and my family that's here, of course. And we had planned ahead of time that we were going to go to dinner when I got home. And my daughter is a doll. Before I left, we were planning on what we were going to do for dinner when I got back and whatnot. So this was 3 months ago. We were talking, and she goes, what do you want for your birthday? And I said, well, just a gathering. And I said, I'd like a cake or something, like, you know, because since I lost my mom just over 8 years ago, I'm like, my mom was the person that got the cake, right. You know? And so, I mean, I brought it up ahead of time. I'd like a cake, right? You know, like without having to go get it myself. And so she says, what would be your ideal cake? And, you know, we talked about like, oh, if I was a kid, I'd want something with frogs or toads and fungi, you know, whatever. And, so we talked about that, and she made a joke about, you know, like she'll look after getting one. And I'm like, seriously, no, I just need a pie. Like, just get a pumpkin pie. I'll be happy with that. Right. Happy birthday, Mom.
Pie. Yeah, I guess it's that. Well, now it is, but maybe
it is. Yeah. And it's my favorite pie. And, so she said, okay. She goes, don't worry about it. I'll look after it. So we went out Friday night for my birthday. Friday night, Saturday night, because I was working. And so, you know, we have a nice dinner. My friends are there. My family's there. And my daughter starts clearing everything in front of me. And so once I realized that, I had a bit of fun. Somebody gave me a card, and I read the card, and I put it right down in front of me. And she has this frustrated look on her face and reaches over very gently and takes the card and moves it. And I'm like, oh, well, she's got me a cake. That's cute. Maybe it's a pie. That's so sweet. I'm so happy. Just totally ecstatic that she remembered to get that for me. Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking I've got a pumpkin pie, or she's gone to the grocery store and got me like whatever chocolate cake or something.
Yeah.
And the waitress comes out and puts my birthday cake down in front of me. And there's this.
So you got a message there too.
Yeah. Oh, looks like I got a message there. I'll go close that.
There you go.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Wow. Look at that.
Frogs and mushrooms all over the place.
Yes.
This cake is amazing.
Wow.
What you see, it's all buttercream except for the mushrooms and the frogs. Those are fondant. So I can actually, you know, dry those and keep them, and I'll be able to keep those forever, which is really awesome. So I'll be able to keep part of it. But all the little flowers you see, they are all buttercream icing. Like the icing that's going around it is all buttercream icing. This lady that made this cake is incredible. I have her card in the kitchen. So if you're in Nova Scotia and you're looking for a wicked ass cake, get a hold of me. I will send you a picture of this lady's card because this cake, it was
in there and everything.
Oh yeah, a little pond. It was incredibly delicious. Like, because a lot of these places where you get these cakes, sometimes the cakes are dry. A lot of people use fondant to make it look perfect. This is all like the cake was moist, and the buttercream icing was on point. It wasn't too sweet. It was just
okay. What's inside it? What kind of cake is inside it?
it was a chocolate cake, a deluxe chocolate cake. Yeah, and it was just home. Everything was homemade. Everything made from scratch.
Nice.
Yeah. So needless to say, Nana Bear here was beyond shocked. As soon as the cake was put in front of me, I remembered our whole conversation, and worked hard to not sob, in the middle of the restaurant.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, that was a nice cake and a nice thing for everybody to do to get together.
So how was your weekend?
How was my weekend?
Was it as good as mine?
My weekend, I spent time in my garden. That's what I did.
Yeah.
In the garden, and spent Sunday or Saturday actually at my son's place. It was his birthday. 47th birthday. So
birthdays all around. That's awesome.
That's right. Okay. Well, what do you say? We got news to get to today.
Sure.
Yeah, I know, eh? Let's get at her. Here we go. First story is up.
Coming to us from StratCan. This one comes from Canada, your neck of the woods, Al. Tyendinaga Police Service sees tens of thousands of cannabis plants in Mohawk territory.
The Tyendinaga Police Services in Ontario say they seized tens of thousands of cannabis plants as part of a large-scale investigation within Tyendinaga Mohawk territory. The operation, first announced early in the morning on Tuesday, September the 23rd, involved cooperation between the Tyendinaga Police Service, the Akawashin Mohawk Police Service, Hiawatha First Nation Police Services, and the Ontario Provincial Police Organized Crime Enforcement Bureau.
In addition to the seized cannabis plants, TPS said they seized a handgun with a high-capacity magazine. Investigators also say they continue to dismantle the extensive illegal cannabis operations that have been taking place on their lands. These operations have had significant environmental impacts with Tyendinaga Mohawk territory, reads a press release on the TPS Facebook page. A quarry has been completely depleted, negatively affecting the water table in the area. The living conditions at these illegal cannabis production sites and the illegal dumping taking place has disrespected our lands. Additional non-community members have been identified and arrest warrants are being sought.
Police say the investigation involves non-Indigenous criminal organizations exploiting Indigenous rights and lands, regrettably aimed or aided by a limited number of community members. The projected profits, estimated in the millions, serve only to benefit those community members and the associated criminal organizations, not our community. Tyendinaga is not alone in this struggle, as numerous territories are plagued by the presence of criminal organizations. In response, many territories put aside ideological differences, taking action to remove these criminal organizations and those jeopardizing the safety and security of our communities. TPS says they will provide more information at a later date.
Yeah. Images shared by TPS online show what appears to be at least two large outdoor and greenhouse cannabis operations, along with makeshift living quarters, large piles of trash, and water diversion. Back in 2020, the OPP arrested two men, 151 and 160, both of Scarborough, following the raid of a large unlicensed farm in Tyendinaga. Nearly 2,000 cannabis plants were confiscated. Another nearly 3,000 cannabis plants were seized just a week later, and 8 people were then arrested in the area, and they're listed there if you would like to take a look.
All righty.
Yeah.
No, because I can just imagine the impact that's going on in the community-wise. I know I did see a post about an injunction, request for an injunction. I don't know if it was granted. And the injunction's request was to halt the seizures of everything that's going on. And where it would lead to, I'm not 100% sure, but they wanted to put a stop to the police operation was the end goal of everything. So see what
Yeah,
happens.
I think I saw that post too, and what they're trying to do is they're trying to protect the businesses that are actually Indigenous owned, run, and worked.
Mm.
And
Yeah, because
that I can
there's
understand,
lots
right?
there. There's lots there of all of indigenous owned facilities.
Yep.
So, alrighty, time to move
Okay.
on to the next story. All right, I got her lined up, and here we go.
Here we go. Coming to us from Sci-Tech Daily. Mushrooms evolve psychedelics twice, and scientists just found out.
Twice, really interesting. The rare case, it says scientists have uncovered the mushrooms evolved the ability to make psilocybin not once but twice using completely different biochemical toolkits. This rare case of convergent evolution show nature arriving at the same mind-altering molecule by two separate paths. The true reason fungi produce psilocybin remains unsolved, but theories range from predator defense to chemical communication. Beyond evolutionary intrigue, the discovery also offers new enzyme tools that could help produce psilocybin more efficiently for future uses.
This concerns the biosynthesis of a molecule that has a very long history with humans, explains Professor Dirk Hofmeister, who is the head of the research group Pharmacological Microbiology at Friedrich Schiller University, Jena, and the Leibniz Institute for Natural Product Research and Infection Biology. We are referring to psilocybin, a substance found in so-called magic mushrooms, which our body converts into psilocin, a compound that can profoundly alter consciousness. However, psilocybin not only triggers psychedelic experiences, but it is also considered a promising active compound in the treatment of therapy-resistant depression, says Hofmeister.
Now, the study carried out within the clusters of excellence balance of the microverse reveals that fungi develop the ability to produce psilocybin on at least two separate occasions in evolutionary history. Psilocybin mushrooms rely on familiar set of enzymes to make the molecule, while fiber cap mushrooms use an entirely different biochemical toolkit. Despite these very different methods, both groups arrive at the same compound. Scientists call this convergent evolution, when unrelated species independently evolve the same trait. Here's a diagram of it all, eh? Now, lead author Tim Schaefer, a doctoral researcher in Hofmeister's lab, explains, it was like looking at two different workshops, but both ultimately delivering the same product. In the fiber caps, we found a unique set of enzymes that have nothing to do with those found in the psilocybin mushrooms. Nevertheless, they all categorize the steps necessary to form psilocybin.
The team then studied these enzymes in the lab using protein models built by Innsbruck chemist Berhard Rupp. They confirmed that the reaction sequence in fiber caps differs greatly from what is known in psilocybin. Here, nature has actually invented the same active compound twice, notes Schaefer. However, why two such different groups of fungi produce the same active compound remains unclear. The real answer is we don't know, emphasizes Hofmeister. Nature does nothing without reason, so there must be an advantage to both fiber cap mushrooms in the forest and psilocybin species, on manure or wood mulch producing this molecule. We don't know what it is yet.
One possible reason could be that psilocybin is intended to deter predators. Even the smallest injuries cause psilocybin mushrooms to turn blue through a chemical chain reaction, revealing the breakdown product of psilocybin. Perhaps the molecule is a type of chemical defense mechanism, says Hofmeister. Now, although it is still unclear why different fungi ultimately produce the same molecule, the discovery nevertheless has practical implications. Now that we know about additional enzymes, we have more tools in our toolbox for the biochemical production of psilocybin, explains Hoffenheiser.
Yeah, Schaefer is also looking ahead. We hope that our results will contribute to the future production of psilocybin for pharmaceuticals in bioreactors without the need for complex chemical synthesis. At the Lebens HKI in Jena, Hoffmeister's team is working closely with the biopilot plant, which is developing processes for producing natural products such as psilocybin on an industrial scale. At the same time, the study provides exciting insights into the diversity of chemical strategies used by fungi and their interactions with the environment. It thus addresses central questions of the Collaborative Research Center, Chembiosis, and the Cluster of Excellence, Balance of the Microverse, as Friedrich Schiller University, Jena. With the framework of which the work was carried out and funded by the German Research Foundation, among others, while the CRC Chembiosis investigates how natural compounds shape biological communities. The Cluster of Excellence focuses on the complex dynamics of microorganisms and their environment.
There we go. Wow. Evolved twice.
Interesting.
There you go. Yeah, that's interesting. And I also noticed they talked about they don't know even why the fungi produce it. Like, as you know, they talk about when cannabis and THC, they can be used to help with the sun, as well as other reasons why it's being produced. But alrighty, from there we're going to move on to our next story, and this one had me a little bit baffled, so I'm interested to see what it says. Here we go.
Coming to us from Cannabis Law Report. Thailand's new prime minister vows to end the free use of cannabis.
Yeah, Thailand's new prime minister vowed to restrict the use of cannabis for medical purposes after thousands of weed shops opened across the country since the nation became the first in Asia to decriminalize cannabis a year ago. The government will seek to rectify its cannabis policy and rampant sprouting of dispensaries that freely sell the cannabis within a 6-month time frame. Struthra Fassen says in an interview with Bloomberg on Wednesday.
The law will need to be rewritten. I couldn't say that for half a second. He said, it needs to be rectified. We can have that regulated for medical use only, he said, adding that there can't be a middle ground for recreational use. While he said there was a broad agreement among the 11-party coalition he heads about the need to restrict cannabis use, how exactly his administration will proceed remains unclear.
Now, his party, he promoted a hardline anti-drug campaign ahead of the May election and vowed to undo the landmark policy to criminalize cannabis. It's now in a coalition with this other party led by Anton, who has vowed to press ahead with a plan to reintroduce a cannabis bill in Parliament that seeks tighter monitoring of the industry but opposes classifying the plant as a drug again.
Interesting.
Yeah, good that he's going to fight back that end, anyways. But going to the medical only end. After it's been, remember when? At one time they gave away 1 million seeds, right? So they've been going in a reverse trend for a while now, which is scary. So
it is.
All right. We'll move on to our next story. And it is ready. Here we go.
Coming to us from Marijuana Moment. Utah church that uses cannabis, psychedelics, and vapes as sacraments sues over police raids.
Good. Fighting back from the courts. Months after Utah's ban on flavored vapes, Black House, a former Sugar House vape shop, became a sanctuary and a safe haven for those searching to get flavored cartridges for spiritual and religious practices. The electronic cigarettes joined other sacraments that have been at the center of religious legal challenges in the state, like psychedelic mushrooms and cannabis. But after Utah law enforcement agencies raided the Sugar House location, as well as the Salt City Sanctuary in Salt Lake in August, all of these sacraments have been put into legal question, with the Sugar Leaf Church, the institution overseeing both sanctuaries, initiating a lawsuit to keep them.
Officers arrived using riot gear, AR-15s, pry bars, and battering rams, forcibly entered both sanctuaries and immediately began disabling the security systems and surveillance cameras with a crowbar, the church said in a lawsuit filed in the U.S. District Court in Salt Lake City in August. During the raids, officers confiscated cannabis and psilocybin products, which the church called sacramental property, as well as thousands of flavored vape cartridges, blank checkbooks, waivers, clergy rosters, cash donations, tablets, and membership records.
The church is asking a judge to order law enforcement to stop interfering with members' free exercise of religion and to award compensatory damages. The institution is also asking the Salt Lake Police Department and the Utah State Bureau of Investigation to undergo mandatory religious sensitivity training and for the immediate return of property.
Yes.
Now, at Salt City Sanctuary, the agent seized 4.24 kilograms of packaged cannabis flower, over a kilogram of fresh flower, 956 1-gram pre-rolled joints, 8 display jars of cannabis flower, 152.5 grams of psilocybin mushrooms, mushroom gummies, and sample packs, numerous edibles with THC and rolling papers, according to a motion to dismiss filed by the Salt Lake County District Attorney's Office.
At Black House, officers confiscated significant quantities of raw cannabis, psilocybin, mushrooms, THC, vapes, cookies, gummies, candies, syrups, oils, and similar products. Psilocybin cookies, gummies, and similar products, and over 3,000 flavored vape cartridges and order receipts, the district attorney's office said in its motion. Joshua Robbers, a church reverend, was also arrested and booked into Salt Lake County Jail during the Salt City Sanctuary raid. He faces multiple charges in 3rd District Court, including possession of a controlled substance with intent to distribute, a 3rd-degree felony.
The Salt Lake County District Attorney's Office filed a motion to dismiss the lawsuit this month and declined to comment because the litigation is ongoing. Now, the Sugarleaf Church is a non-denominational church with branches in 9 states and Mexico that uses psychoactive substances for sacraments, including cannabis and psilocybin mushrooms. Members have to sign an agreement committing to follow the church's code of conduct.
These are not casual practices, the church wrote in its lawsuit. They are intentional, structured, and rooted in decades of education, experience, and legal precedents. The church cited protections under the U.S. Constitution and federal law that guards religious freedom in the filing. It also mentioned a federal judge's recent decision siding with a small Provo-based faith group that uses psilocybin mushrooms as part of its practice and ordering Utah County to temporarily stop criminal proceedings against the organization and its founders.
The Provo case partially hinged on a 2024 state law that made it easier to sue government entities if they restrict a person's right to exercise their religion. The Sugarleaf raids came a day after that decision, the church says. Now, according to the Sanctuary Volunteer statement, officers refused to read waivers, doctrinal statements, and clergy notices. They also mocked the religious affiliation.
One officer openly referred to the religious operation as a loophole and laughed when corrected. He also said, "Look how stupid they are. They wrote it all down," the church's lawsuit says. However, prosecutors argue the Utah sites are best defined as shops and not churches, since Department of Commerce records indicate that multiple business entities were operating at the same location as Black House Sanctuary, including Black House Vapor Company, LLC. The fact, the prosecutors wrote, rebuts the claims that the activities at the Sugar House location were solely religious.
The district attorney's office also pointed out that plaintiffs assert religious use of cannabis and psilocybin. They do not assert any religious belief or practice relating to flavored vape cartridges.
Mm.
Yeah, I gotta say that's the first time I've heard of vape cartridges being used as a sacrament. So
yeah, I think that's what's going to get them is the that, right?
yeah. Before we go to break, thanks for the love, Eugene. And I see we got a comment over here.
Hey, Gordo.
And Gordo says hi. Oh, g'day, Gordo. How you doing, buddy? All right, it is time for us to take a break. Time for us to, as they say, pay some bills every once in a while, right? All right, so we'll be back in about 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, just that way. And you're watching Psychedelics and Cannabis Educational News. We're live here at paceradio.net and 420pace.ca.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, open Monday to Friday from 10 till 7 p.m. or by chance. Check out our flags, our t-shirts, plus our hats, and look of that supply of rolling papers, plus much more. We've got bongs and your favorite herbal vaporizers. Look at all the incense we have, as well as for those who collect knives, check out these knives in our collection. And while you're here, stop in to see Shay at the piercing room, where you can get poked by Shay. Daily deals, check them out. Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford, Ontario.
What do you find at paceradio.net? People advocating cannabis education.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420. Rerolled Saturdays. Check it out. Nothing but non-stop cannabis and psychedelic programming. Find it at 420pace.ca.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
Hey, we're back. We got 4 more stories to cover, and we're going to go maybe a little trip around the world. We're going to go to the U.S., we're going to go to Sri Lanka, and we're going to go to Germany in this next set. So here we go. All right. We'll start off in the U.S. Here we go.
Yeah, coming to us from Marijuana Moment. Majority of Americans say cannabis isn't dangerous as Trump decides on rescheduling, new poll shows.
All right, nice plants there, nice and purple. A new poll shows that a majority of Americans don't consider cannabis dangerous, though most do think consuming cannabis increases the likelihood that people will transition to using more dangerous drugs. The survey from Rasmussen Reports, widely viewed as a conservative polling firm, asked several questions dealing with cannabis and other drug-related topics as President Donald Trump considers the cannabis rescheduling proposal.
One top line finding is that 53% of respondents said that cannabis use is either not at all dangerous or not very dangerous, while 42% said it was either somewhat dangerous or very dangerous. Republicans were more likely to say cannabis was dangerous at 54% total, compared to Democrats, only 35% of them.
The survey, which involved interviews with 1,305 American adults from September the 21st to the 23rd, also inquired about public opinion on the gateway drug theory, asking, how likely is it that cannabis use leads to the use of more dangerous drugs? Oh, this is going to be scary. Despite the majority perception that cannabis isn't dangerous, and the fact that the poll consistently shows a majority, and increasing bipartisan, support for legalizing cannabis, 51% of the respondents said it was very likely or somewhat likely that cannabis would lead to more dangerous drug use. Really? Another 42% that it was not very likely or not at all likely. I don't know. The first drug that I would have consumed would have been probably tobacco, because I smoked my mom's cigarettes when I was 8. Or maybe it was alcohol.
Yeah, tobacco and alcohol are the gateway drugs. Like, I mean, seriously, as a reformed addict, cannabis got me sober, right? You know, there's I could say so much, but I will continue to read the story.
Let's continue.
Rasmussen also examined opinions around the broader problem of drug abuse in the U.S., asking people to rate their sense of the current status of the issue. Just 5% said the situation is getting better. 36% said it's worse, and 39% said it's about the same.
The poll, which has a margin error of plus or minus 3%, is one of the latest temperature checks on American sentiment towards drug policy, as Trump weighs a proposal to move cannabis from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3 of the Controlled Substances Act. And while a leading prohibitionist group, Smart Approaches to Marijuana, recently claimed a poll they commissioned demonstrated majority opposition to rescheduling, a policy change that Trump endorsed on the campaign trail, the result flies in the face of multiple other national surveys showing support for reform that goes beyond rescheduling.
Yeah. Another recent survey from the Coalition of Cannabis Policy, Education, and Regulation, CPER, which was conducted by the firm Forbes, showed that 7 in 10 American voters want to see the end of federal cannabis prohibition. And nearly half say they'd view the Trump administration more favorably if it took action on the issue. Hallelujah. A poll released in June that Marijuana Moment partnered on with the cannabis telehealth platform NugMD showed that a majority of cannabis consumers disapprove of the Trump administration's action on cannabis policy to date. But there's also a significant willingness among users to shift their position if the federal government opts to reschedule or legalize cannabis.
Earlier this year, a firm associated with Trump, Van Brizo Lee and Associates, also polled Americans on a series of broader cannabis policy issues. Notably, it found that a majority of Republicans back cannabis rescheduling, and notably, they were even more supportive of allowing states to legalize cannabis without federal interference compared to the average voter.
Interesting.
There you go. All right, just so you know, we got a message back from Gordo. Gordo says it all good here. Hope you are both well. We are well. Yeah, we are here, so we're well. If we're not here, Gordo, then there's something wrong.
Or we're just off getting education, one of the two.
Yeah. All righty. From the U.S., we're going to make our way over to Germany now. And as we find out what's going on over there. Here we go. It is up.
Coming to us from International Cannabis Business Conference, there's a survey. German cannabis associations average 275 members.
Nice. Starting on July the 1st, 2024, adults in Germany can apply to their local authority to launch an adult use cannabis cultivation association. Cultivation associations, some referred to as social clubs, involve consumers registering with the association and acquiring products legally. Now, according to the most recent data from the Federal Association of Cannabis Cultivation Associations, the total number of approved German Cultivation Association applications is now 323. BCAV lists that 743 total applications have been submitted to date.
A survey of 220 German cultivation associations was recently conducted by the Hemp app, and association operators were asked about several things, including how many members they have. According to the survey's results, the average number of members for German cultivation associations is 275. The survey also found the following. Average member age is about 36 years, ranging from 25 to 60. Associations dispense 22.6 grams per member per month. Pardon me. Total association product dispersal is 6.2 kilogram per club per month. 6.1 varieties per month, range 3 to 10. Average cannabinoid content is THC is 18.6, which is good. And CBD is 5%. 100% of responding clubs offer education or prevention programs. Wow.
Yeah. Clubs are controllable, licensed distribution points with age verification, prevention, documentation, and clear legal sanctions for violations. This is clearly what politicians are demanding, including conservative voices, says Florin Pitchmiller, CEO of the Hemp app. To further strengthen youth protection and consumer safety and to be more quickly dispatch the black market, more licenses are needed, especially in Bavaria. Now, growing your own cannabis in a cannabis club is consumer protection. Known origin, consistent quality, clear responsibility. With more licenses, especially in conservative regions, the black market can be significantly reduced, according to the statement.
BCAV provided the following geographical breakdown of submitted, approved, rejected, and withdrawn applications for cultivation associations in Germany in their most recent newsletter. And they give us this whole thing here that shows this. The Federal Association of Cannabis Cultivation Associations, which describes itself as the interest group for cannabis cultivation associations within the Cannabis Industry Association, recently published a positions paper listing several demands that the association has determined would improve Germany's cannabis laws.
Below are some of the highlighted demands of the position paper per the BCA's recent newsletter. And here they are. Protection against disappropriate requirements that make the operation of non-commercial cultivation associations virtually impossible. Protecting consumers' information rights. Some federal states interpret the advertising ban as broadly that cultivation associations can hardly be found online. Accelerated and transparent approval procedures for cultivation associations. Clarification as to whether cultivation associations should levy VAT on cannabis sold, and nationwide standardization of standards. And according to the coordinator, Henrik Waker, says that if the cultivation associations are to effectively curb the black market, administration hurdles must be removed and legal uncertainties eliminated. What do you think of the associations like that, the cultivation places? We don't have them here. I know that there was a group at one time that was opposing them, but government never accepted it.
Like there are so many people living in condos or apartments where, cultivation isn't allowed, or smoking isn't allowed. They're not allowed to, they're not even allowed to vape and whatnot. Having cultivation and consumption sites is increasingly important, and having them in places where people can get to easily. So we need a larger amount of them, especially for medical patients. I truly believe, maybe not necessarily for all the recreational people, but for medical patients, especially. Most medical patients, we have it for physical reasons. So getting up and going like all the way across town in the cold and blah, it's just not feasible. We need more. with, I mean, I love this 200 and some odd people per club. That's kind of like, that's good and smallish. Like, I mean, everybody gets a site, everybody can have a few plants, and I am all for that. And then maybe have, kind of like attached to it, like, you go through a door and you're in another part, like another room, and you have a consumption club there. So the members, can do more than just cultivate it and dry it. They can actually go meet and consume it and have a community where they have support.
Yeah. Sounds like lounge to me.
Yeah.
All righty. Time to us move on to the next story. Here we go. It's up.
Coming to us from Stupid Dope. Cannabis access for veterans, health, dignity, and justice.
Yes. Here we go. Across the United States, more than 18 million military veterans live with the lasting effects of service. For many, combat did not end when they returned home. The scars of war, whether in the form of physical injuries, chronic pain, PTSD, traumatic brain injury, or invisible mental health struggles, are daily realities. Yet, despite decades of evidence supporting cannabis as a therapeutic tool, American veterans still face barriers to safe and consistent access. This disconnect between need and availability has sparked a growing movement among veterans, healthcare advocates, policymakers, and everyday citizens. As its core is a simple but powerful message. U.S. military veterans deserve access to safe cannabis as part of their health care. Here.
Yeah. The burden veterans carry, PTSD or PTSI, as I like to call it. It's one of the most common challenges for veterans. Flashbacks, insomnia, hypervigilance, and depression can make, reintegration into civilian life incredibly difficult. Conventional treatments often carry side effects. When we're talking modern day pharmaceuticals, risk of dependency, and limited efficacy. Veterans report turning to cannabis because it provides calm, it provides sleep regulation, and it provides a relief without all of those risks that modern day medicines have.
Yeah. Combat injuries and service-related wear leave many veterans battling lifelong pain. Opioids have been the traditional prescription, but the opioid crisis has shown how devastating dependency can be. Cannabis, particularly in strains rich in THC and CBD, have shown to provide pain relief with far fewer long-term risks. Now, TBI, which often called the signature injury of modern conflicts, affects countless veterans. Emerging studies suggest cannabinoids play a role in neuroprotection and in managing symptoms such as headaches, mood swings, and cognitive impairment.
Yeah. Homelessness and suicide rates are huge with veterans as well. Sadly, lack of effective treatments contributes to a national crisis. Veterans represent about 11% of the homeless population and face suicide rates more than 50% higher than non-veterans. Safe cannabis access is not a panacea, but it could bring a meaningful component in reducing these staggering statistics. And why safe cannabis access matters. The word safe is crucial, especially for veterans. Access without regulation can lead to untested products, contamination, and misinformation. Veterans need cannabis that is lab tested for potency and purity, affordable to reduce reliance on dangerous black markets options, accessible through healthcare systems, not just recreational dispensaries, and supported by clinical education so providers can guide proper use.
Now, despite state-level legalization, cannabis remains a Schedule I drug under federal law. This creates a paradox for veterans who rely on the Department of Veterans Affairs. The VA cannot prescribe cannabis, even in states where it is legal, leaving veterans to navigate a confusing patchwork of rules. And at the state level end of things, as of 2025, 38 states and District of Columbia have legalized medical cannabis in some form. Many explicitly include PTSI as a qualifying condition. However, consistency is lacking. A veteran in California may have easy access to medical cannabis, while a veteran in Texas may face criminal penalties. That is absurd.
Yeah, and the role of the VA acknowledges that veterans use cannabis and had, issued guidance clarifying that patients will not lose benefits for admitting use. Still, the inability of the VA doctors to prescribe cannabis remains a major obstacle. Absolutely, as a Canadian veteran, having VAC, having VAC, approve it and cover it has made a huge difference for myself and for many, many other veterans to have at least 3 grams, of their daily use paid for can make a huge difference. And scientific evidence supporting cannabis for veterans. If we take a look at PTSI, or D, depending on how you want to look at it, it's an injury though. Multiple peer-reviewed studies suggest cannabis can reduce nightmares, improve sleep, and help manage anxiety associated with this disease. The Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies, MAPS, has funded ongoing trials demonstrating significant improvements in quality of life for veterans using cannabis.
Yeah. Now, research indicates that cannabinoids interact with pain pathways, offering relief for neuropathic and muscular pain. Unlike opioids, cannabis does not depress respiratory function, making overdose far less likely. Now, with sleep disorders, they say insomnia is one of the most reported symptoms among veterans. Cannabis, especially indica-dominant strains or products rich in myrcene and linalool terpenes, has been shown to help regulate sleep cycles.
Yeah. In neuroprotection, early studies suggest cannabinoids may reduce inflammation and oxidative stress in the brain, potentially offering protective benefits for those suffering from TBI, traumatic brain injuries. Veterans have become some of the most effective advocates for cannabis reform. Hallelujah. Organizations such as Veterans Cannabis Project, Weed for Warriors, and Disabled American Veterans have pushed for legalization, testified before Congress, and mobilized local communities. Their message is often personal. Access to safe cannabis can mean the difference between despair and hope, between addiction and recovery, even between life and death.
Now, polls consistently show that a majority of Americans, Democrat, Republicans, and Independents alike, support medical cannabis access for veterans. Even political leaders who have historically resisted legalization are shifting their tone. Just today, former President Donald Trump posted on Truth Social expressing support for CBD and cannabis for medical reasons, signaling that the conversation is reaching mainstream acceptance across the political spectrum. Now, there are still barriers that exist, such as federal scheduling, which is the biggest roadblock. Remains the cannabis status as Schedule 1. The costs veterans often pay out of pocket, and insurance does not cover cannabis. The stigma. Despite shifting public opinion, some veterans still fear being judged for cannabis use. And the research restrictions, federal limitations, make large-scale gold standard clinical trials difficult.
Yeah. Expanding safe cannabis access for veterans does more than improve health outcomes. It reduces reliance on costly pharmaceuticals, decreases ER visits, and lowers opiate prescriptions. Economically, cannabis programs create jobs, generate tax revenue, and stimulate local economies. Socially, they help veterans reintegrate, find purpose, and build community. The role of brands and industries. While policy reform is crucial, the cannabis industry itself has a role to play. Brands can prioritize veterans programs, create discount initiatives, and advocate for access. One example of this commitment is Silly Nice, a veteran-owned and made brand in New York with high hopes of expanding across America and being a great example of a brand to support. Their presence highlights how small business can lead with values while also providing high-quality products.
Now, as far as the path forward, they suggest, they got 5 of them here, reschedule cannabis, moving cannabis to a lower schedule, or descheduling it entirely, yes, would unlock research and allow VA doctors to prescribe. Number 2, federal protection. Enact laws that guarantee veterans the right to medical cannabis in every state. Insurance coverage integrate cannabis into healthcare coverage for veterans to ensure affordability. Number
Yep.
4, education for providers. Train doctors, therapists, and care teams on cannabis use in veteran populations. Number 5, community-based support. Expand cannabis to veteran-focused dispensaries and programs to provide safe, discounted products.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The United States owes its veterans more than medals and speeches. It owes them real healthcare solutions that honor their sacrifices. Safe cannabis access is not a fringe demand. It is a science-backed, compassion-driven policy that can save lives, reduce suffering, and restore dignity. Veterans serve their country with loyalty and courage. Now it's time for the country to serve them, ensuring that safe cannabis is a fundamental part of their healing journey. Amen.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but those requests aren't something that should be too terribly hard for anybody to accept.
Yeah.
Yeah, get at her. Alrighty, time for us to move on to the last story of the day. And this one, we're gonna keep over and traveling around the world. But here we go. Next story is up.
Coming to us from International Cannabis Business Conference, Sri Lanka to invest in medical cannabis projects.
All right, another country. Here we go. Anyone who has followed Sri Lanka's economy in recent years knows that it has struggled. In 2022, the nation's inflation rate soared to 50%, and Sri Lanka's residents experienced frequent shortages of essential goods. The country was in major debt and defaulted on its foreign debt interest payment. The economic crisis, which was the worst in Sri Lanka's history, resulted in the International Monetary Fund lending Sri Lanka billions of dollars to help it jumpstart its economy. Since that time, the island nation in South Asia has searched for ways to create jobs and generate revenue and is reportedly set to invest in multiple cannabis-focused projects.
The Board of Investment is also attracting nearly $100 million across 6 projects to grow cannabis for medical oil exports to the U.S. and Europe. Cultivation will begin in secured zones, initially using container-based pilots, Hertz said, and this was reported by Reuters. Currently, the average monthly salary for workers in Sri Lanka is about $60,000, which converts to about $198.95 USD per month. Wow. The nation's major industry include the creation of textiles and apparel, tea and coconut industry, rubber and rubber products, and gem and jewelry exports.
Developing an emerging legal cannabis industry will help create jobs, generate tax revenue, and boost local economies in Sri Lanka. During the first 6 years of legalization in Canada, the nation's industry generated $29.6 billion in government tax revenue and created nearly 100,000 jobs. Of course, Canada's experience is the most glowing example of the national cannabis industry success right now, and what Sri Lanka's industry can expect should be tempered, if for any reason, because their $100 million investment is considerably less than what it has been invested in Canada's industry. Sure is.
However, even though embracing a legal cannabis industry in Sri Lanka will not fix the nation's economy woes, it will help the nation's economy and workers to some extent, and that is worthy of celebration.
Yeah, it sounds like a place that needs work, jobs. You know, if an average worker is only making $198 a month, there is no way that's enough for anybody to live on. Never mind for the government, in order to be able to the government to receive money on taxes if people aren't spending money because they don't have any.
Yep.
Yeah. So let's see what happens. We'll keep an eye on that down the road. You never know. They'll get started on something. So, all right. Anything else before we say goodbye to everybody?
I don't think so.
No? Okay. Just thought I'd check. That's all. All right. Okay. Just let everybody know we will be back on Thursday, same time, same place, all that stuff. Other than that, That's our report for today. Thanks to our buds at the Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, Limestone City Hydroponics.ca and At-Eze.ca. And in closing, as always, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening to the podcast afterwards. It goes out as an audio podcast. You'll find it out there at different audio locations. And as always, don't forget to educate, medicate, and do not incarcerate.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own, and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with. All medical advice during our broadcast is not a medical opinion and should be checked with your medical physician.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Limestone City Hydroponics is Kingston, Ontario's hydroponics shop. Take your growing to the next level and create the optimal environment with a tent kit, or maximize your yield with an ebb and flow flood table kit. Either way, Limestone City Hydroponics has more sizes and options to fit your needs. Are you looking for the power of the sun that adapts to your budget? Then look no further, as they have professional grow lighting. They have indoor grow systems that are easy and cost effective, with many options to fit your living space and lifestyle. Cultivate your growing potential. We have everything you need to succeed. And if you can't make it to the store, they offer local delivery to the greater Kingston area. Remember, when you're looking for experts to help you grow, then look no further than the locally owned Limestone City Hydroponics, 105 Sunderland Drive in Kingston, Ontario. Call them at 613-548-0420. We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net.